Welcome to The Women We Know. I'm your host, Stacey Ferguson, and this podcast is all about real conversations with women in our lives who have stories worth sharing. Not the polished highlight reels, but the real moments, the challenges, the turning points, the courage, the growth, and the wisdom that comes from living a full life. My hope is that somewhere in these conversations, you'll hear something that reminds you that you're not alone and that the women around us are far more extraordinary than we sometimes realise. So wherever you are listening from, settle in, because these are the stories of the women we know. Hello and welcome to the very first guest episode of The Women We Know. Today is really special because I have my guest sitting in my office with me today. So it just so happened that she was in Townsville when we were due to record. So I have her sitting right here. The woman sitting in the seat actually right beside me right now. Might not know this, but she probably does. She was the first person who ever cracked open the door to personal development for me. Years ago, she started reading the books, immersing herself in full personal development workshops, asking the deeper questions about life and who she was and who she wanted to be. At the time, I didn't walk through the door the way that she did, but she definitely opened it for me. And sometimes that's how growth just begins. Not with a big life moment, but with someone close to you quietly showing you that there's another way to see the world. Today's guest is someone who has shaped a lot of who I am. She is my younger sister, Kirsty Hoch. She is a mum, she's a wife, a rural woman, and an all-round funny bugger. She's a business owner and someone who somehow manages to hold a lot of moving pieces at once. Today we're talking about motherhood, remote living, reinvention, and learning to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Perfect timing, right? Welcome to The Women We Know, Kirk. Before we get into the big stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself and who are you and what do you do?
Wow, thanks, Stace. Talk about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Thank you very much for those lovely words. As uncomfortable as that was, really appreciate that and appreciate you. So I am, as Stace said, her little sister, Kirsty Hoch. Living remotely in central Queensland on a cattle station with my husband. We've got 4 children. 2 are currently away at boarding and 2 are still being homeschooled via distance education. What else?
Let's start with a little icebreaker. I know that I'm nervous, sort of just, even though we talk all the time, it's a little bit different with a microphone in front of us if we're not belting a tune out to it. So which gets me to the next one. I love to sing. So what is your go-to karaoke song?
Well, Stace, as you know, I don't have a particular go-to. I belt out many tunes, whether the lyrics are correct or not. Don't mind a bit of singing or even screaming, if that's more what it sounds like.
I reckon I could share some pretty hilarious clips of you recently at a karaoke party that we attended. It was full dress up, and if you can imagine, Kirsty dressed up as Tina Turner and fully got the wheels moving. I can't remember the name of the song off the top of my head, but let's keep on turning. Are you getting a little testy here now? Well, now that we've established that you don't actually need to know the lyrics to get some karaoke confidence, let's just get into it. I know that after a little laugh, I definitely feel a lot more confident just sitting here talking to you, forgetting that the microphone's there. So I hope you do as well. Yeah. Let's talk about the season that you're in right now. If you had to describe this chapter of your life in a few words, what would it be?
Busy, but somehow calm at this present moment. Had you have asked me late last year, it would have been a different story. But, you know, we've got 2 children away at boarding school, 2 at home, and then running the, livestock business as well. So that takes up a bit of time off-siding here and there. But, I do have a really supportive husband and School is the priority for me and the children. We have been really lucky to get some extra support this year. So although it's busy and school sports and, the miles we travel to make sure that kids aren't missing out on those opportunities definitely, make life busy, it's still somehow crazily and not calm every second of every day. That is for sure. But somehow amongst it, I've actually found a little bit of peace and calm at the moment.
Yeah, it's really just nice. your norm sort of thing, and it's just, I watch you in awe and just go, oh my God, you're here and there, you're everywhere, but you kind of just seem to be able to hold it all together. And just for a bit of context, tell us what a day in the life of Kirsty looks like.
Well, I'm really lucky to have been inspired for fitness and taking care of myself, and I've got a really, really great group of women that we jump online every morning 5:15, and they'll be listening right now saying, you liar. I have been very absent of late. However, generally speaking, we do jump on at 5:15 every morning. We do our workout till about 6:15, and, I just love that. I love starting the day with me. In saying that, if I want to beat my kids up, I've got to get up at ridiculous hours. But that's just a really nice way for me to establish a bit of time and then take care of myself, and just that connection with the women. Some days I show up not so much for the exercise but for the laughs.
Yeah.
So I generally do that, and then I'm sort of in the schoolroom for a lot. As I said, I'm really lucky with my husband. He holds down a lot of what we do on the business with the cattle and the property side of things. But of course, there's always the odd jobs there to do and to help and to support him. It's everyone sort of holds a piece to the puzzle, and then just. Again, we share the load around when we're travelling. We've got kids in different directions. Some have got appointments here, he'll do that, or I'll do that, or, we just sort of work that out, as all families do. Yeah. As you come and go. I think the only difference we have is just the distance we travel.
So can you touch on that a little bit, just for our listeners? Like, what is your location? Like, you're quite a remote.
Yeah, so we live about 120 kilometres from our nearest town. Townsville is our biggest city centre, or closest, I should say, not our biggest. It's about 460 odd kilometres away. We do it in 5 hours quite comfortably. So that's where all our main appointments and kids' sports, they're at boarding schools and charters, towers, but a lot of their club sport is played here in Townsville. So... and obviously all our parts and supplies, a lot of that come out of Townsville when we can't get it sourced locally. Our kids attend school in Barcaldine 1 day a week, so that's about 190 kilometres from home, but it's a great break for everyone during the week. I know when I'm in the schoolroom and teaching, I love those Tuesdays. I get to have that day to myself. If there's a friend in town, I can catch up, or I can set aside some time and do a bit of office work. I mostly pack it with the intent, and then find a friend and drink coffee and have a catch up.
Yeah, you look forward to those days of other adult connections, I guess. And yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. What do you love, or what do you love about being where you are? I mean, obviously it's a lifestyle that, not many people understand, so tell me what do you love, what are the challenges, let's start off with the positive though. Let's start off with what you love about it.
I think it is remote and can be isolating, but one of the things I think I've found, and I've shared with you before just privately, is and I think you'd even see that by the way I get to live my life, is somehow amongst it all it seems to be the most flexible job in the world. So, like, when you think of our job and our industry, of course, there's periods of time when flexibility is definitely, minimised to the livestock and the well-being of them or the country, and depending on what's going on with the weather as well. But in saying that, I have just found no other job, when I speak to my friends, when I, look out in the world that offers the flexibility that I guess we are really lucky to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's, that flexibility that you do get. And I think that now that I live in Townsville, I probably see you more now because your kids are in Charters Towers and you kind of come up this way a lot more if this is your base, I guess, at the moment. And, so I think it's incredible the flexibility that you do have. Yeah, there are a lot of jobs that don't offer that at all, and you get to live it every day, and you kind of get to choose what you do each day, I guess, to an extent.
But, we do have the option to show up for kids' sports and appointments and things like that. That I know a lot of people don't have that luxury of choosing.
Yeah,
I guess a lot of people make it work, no different, but I just see how we can tie our work into trips away and things like that as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You haven't always lived rurally, though. I happen to know because a little bird told me that you grew up in Gladstone. We grew up in Gladstone, and then we moved to Aramac when you would have been. What would you be? 12?
It was the end of grade 7.
Yeah,
12, 13.
Yeah, and then so that was a tiny little bush town, which is your, I guess, your smaller centre now. But then when you were 15, you moved to Mackay for school. Can you tell us like that? I think about that, and I think that was a massive move when you were 15. How did you feel when you done that? When you made that decision to make that move to go to school in a bigger place, but also without your parents, without your family? To me, as a 15-year-old, that seems so kind of quite scary. But tell me about what you felt.
Yeah, so our local school, as you know, only went to grade 10. Lots of students from there either went on to Barcaldine, where you got the bus every day and the 70-kilometre one-way trip over to school and then back again that half, or the other option was lots of families chose boarding once their children hit grade 10. Boarding for our family wasn't an option. I just got lucky with some people that were at the Aramac school and in the community at the time and was able to take the opportunity to go and live with them in Mackay and attend the Christian college there. I guess at the time I didn't really think much of it. I was just excited for the opportunity and to leave. I had lived in bigger places before, so I kind of knew what that was like. Of course, it was scary going off without knowing anyone, but to do it, I don't remember. I don't look back at that and think, I was really scared. And I, had to really dig deep to get there. I just remember being excited.
What do you reckon it taught you about yourself at that age? Because that's being 15, teenage girl. Like, what do you think that experience taught you?
I think it taught me a lot of independence. So, Mum and Dad had a family of 5. We were taught I should say a family of 7, but 5 children. I was second in line. So we were taught pretty young about responsibilities, and I guess even before I left Aramac, I had weekend jobs and things like that. Mum and Dad even brought us to Aramac for themselves and an opportunity to run a local business there, which we were able to get involved with and, start to learn then about employment, I guess. So when I went away, I know the independence I think I got from that, having to organise myself, make sure I had the uniforms and the books and, a job to help support myself while I was there and paying board to the family that I lived with, taking myself into Centrelink and getting my, I don't know what it was called, youth allowance or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So probably, when I look back now and as a mum with a 15-year-old and how much the oldest is also a boy, so that could be part of it, but I look at what I do for my children in comparison to what, the expectation was of us at that age. And
it was just a different time, wasn't it?
Exactly. Most people would be thinking the same thing. So yeah, at the time, but it is probably one of the things I'm most proud of when I look back at that, you know. And I guess even for mum as a mum now and dad, I can imagine maybe there was a bit of challenge in that too, you know.
Oh yeah, I've recently had my son away, as you know, and that's tough as a parent, having your child away at school. And back then, when there wasn't kind of readily, you know, weren't walking around with a phone in your pocket all the time as well. So I could imagine how like what mum and dad kind of felt as well, having you away, but then also you on the other side of that, being away from well, me especially. Like, that would have been really hard.
Well, actually, you know, when I think back to that, I know you and Ben were a lifeline. You guys were a bit older and had licenses and things, and so getting home, it was great. The big sister and her boyfriend, now my brother-in-law, you know, got to come down and
we'd go for a little holiday to visit you and come and bring you back.
Yeah. So I think somehow, you know, we always stayed connected, but I think just what it taught me about being uncomfortable and getting comfortable.
Yeah. I know you kind of like touched on being a mum now, and I know from knowing you that one of the things that you're most proud of is the relationship that you have with your kids now. When you were growing up and imagining being a mum, is this what you kind of had envisioned in your mind, or did you have a vision? It's pretty special to have a good relationship with your kids, especially when they're teenagers at the moment and everything that's kind of just going on with, you know, everything. And then also on top of it, your two oldest that are away at boarding school, to be able to keep that or build a relationship that is really quite strong. Yeah, tell me a little bit about like that importance to you, I guess.
I think when I was a kid, I was going to be a Hollywood actor, so envisaging motherhood wasn't really high on my radar. Anyway, that didn't pan out.
We should have done some auditions for that.
Probably. Apparently you don't just get handed parts, I later learned. It was sort of that. And so I don't really recall having strong thoughts about, you know, becoming a mother, and I guess I always knew I wanted to be a mum. It's never that I didn't want to or was really opposed to it, but I guess I didn't have any particular expectation around it growing up. But somehow I think living the life that I just fell into, so to speak, certainly the industry I'm in and with my husband, wasn't one I was out chasing. It just happened to come with the man I fell in love with. I was never going to go off and be a ringer or a cowgirl or, you know, get into that industry on my own accord. It just happened to come naturally. And I think that is probably what allowed me to be the mother I am. You know, the alternative is, I know on days when I've thought, this is crap, you know, this life's hard, trying to teach your kids and all that sort of stuff. And you just bring yourself back down. I think, what's the alternative to this, and would I really be happy there?
Yeah.
So I think just where I landed is what sort of helped me to be that sort of mother.
What sort of has surprised you, do you think, the most along the way about being a mother, about yourself, about...
Probably the honesty we have with our children, and trying, you know, I guess as most mothers would relate, to help and support your children as best you can, while still enabling them to become independent, functional adults who can give back to the world in positive ways and go out and seek opportunities for themselves. That's probably something that surprised me, and something I never necessarily thought of, and that's what I'm going to do as a mum. But
I do a lot of, it's not a comparison thing, but it's a lot of, like, our firstborn sons are the same age. And I kind of just love watching, like, we came from the same family, but we have different ways of raising our kids, but also in similar ways, like, you know, respect and all that sort of stuff is very important. But I just love watching our different family dynamics, and not one's better than the other or anything like that, but I just love watching it all unfold. And your kids are incredible. They're all very different from each other, but you're able to raise them with the same sort of respect, or the values of your family, I guess.
I think the biggest, you know, take you back to that question you asked before about what surprised me, it's probably I didn't have quiet children, or they were bloody busy rat bags, to put it nicely. And somehow we just hung in there, and as they get older and older, I'm like, oh, phew, you know, in that process, and I'm sure lots of mothers can relate, you're like, man, how is this going to pan out? Like, what sort of humans are we raising? And if we don't do this, they're going to end up that, and all these sort of things. And somehow in there, we just found the strength to let our kids be who they are, whilst still, you know, teaching and role modelling more than probably anything else, how to be decent humans. But yeah, there's definitely been moments I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this going to go? Because, you know, I know they are very unique, busy children. Yeah. But they've all got these big personalities. They have. Well, what's the alternative?
And they're hilarious. Like, they've all got that, like, your sense of humour. I mean, Jace is a funny bugger too, but Kirsty's shaking her head saying, "I'm not as funny as me." But they've all got that sense of humour, and I love having conversations with your kids, and I always walk away laughing.
Some days I don't.
You have brought it up a few times about being comfortable, or getting comfortable in the uncomfortable. What does that look like to you? You know, what is
sitting here right now
with a microphone in front of us?
I guess I've struggled, or I don't know if that's the right word, but I definitely have seasons where there's comparison, there's am I enough, all of those sorts of things, and thoughts that creep in, and self-doubt. And probably for me, when I think about being comfortable with the uncomfortable, it's just being comfortable to be myself, and to kind of just settle into that. And it doesn't always come easy, that's for sure. But being okay with, not everyone's going to like me, or not everyone's going to agree with this decision, or not needing people's approval of who I am. And that's pretty bloody uncomfortable getting on here right now. It's like, being vulnerable and opening yourself up, but then knowing that on the other side of that, you know, even though it's pretty uncomfortable to step into that space sometimes, on the other side of that, the opportunities and that often present themselves, and particularly for growth and awareness as well, I think, and the flow-on effects of just being comfortable with who you are. Yeah.
Do you think that there was like a moment where you were kind of like, you know, I can't be liked by everyone, and I've just got to kind of be okay with that. And it's actually okay that if not everybody likes you. Do you think there was like a moment where you're kind of, you know, that it actually doesn't matter that I'm not liked by everyone? Because that's a huge place to get to. I know myself, I'm quite a, you know, I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I like to be liked by a lot of people. But I've also done a bit of work and kind of getting to a point where I understand that not everyone's going to like who I am or what I'm about, and that's okay.
I think for me, I was really lucky. I've done a few immersive type personal development workshops and met some really incredible women and men along the way. And I'm a very heady person, and I think one of the, things I really learnt and to lean into is that when I get in my head, it's all about, am I doing enough? Am I smart enough? I've got nothing to offer, playing all that, and then just taking a breath and getting comfortable. And when you come back down into your heart, it's like a whole another place. And I was sort of, taught that and role modelled that through some really great people. And not every day is the same, and some days I feel on top of the world and like the confidence is beaming, and then other days it's like, who am I, So it's not like I have this pivotal moment and suddenly, here we go. But it's that getting comfortable when that rears its head, what's in this, and it's okay. Yeah. We're all human and we all have emotions, and
And I know that you've kind of had to get into that uncomfortableness recently with your new business with KH Connected Wellness. I'd love to hear about that. Just bridging into that, I guess, stepping out of your comfort zone. Talk about that uncomfortableness that you've had to push through.
As I spoke earlier, we've got a group of women that we jump online with every morning, and I've just done that through sheer absolute luck. I happen to have an amazing sister. Our third sister is a personal trainer and naturopath, and just through watching her, became inspired after I had Henry. He's our fourth baby, to just get into health and fitness a bit more. I sort of dabbled in it here and there over the years, but just got into a regular PT session with her, and she just really kept me accountable. And then, woman by woman, the group grew, and we ended up with 5 of us on there. And my sister in PT was, delivering our programs online for us, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And she just had a shift in her business structure and stopped delivering PT, still does excellent group classes and things. But at the time, we're all early risers and live on the land or do things, so we like to get up and get it over and done with, particularly me, before I find a reason not to.
Yeah.
So through that, we just then found that consistency, and like I said, I found that connection and another reason to get up and exercise, and how that actually fueled me in a completely different way than the physical benefits. So from that, my children got really interested in, watching mum go all the time, and just started asking me questions. And I thought, I'm a bit keen, and it would be nice to know for myself what to do. And so I started studying Cert 3, which I've now completed in fitness, still working on the Cert 4, and then we'll follow through with the nutrition side of things as well. But I just think what the gift that Lise gave me was something I just wanted to keep giving. So originally I was just going to do it for myself, and then I thought, man, when our little group tell other women what we're doing and how, we just get on every morning and keep ourselves accountable. Someone's got the program and knows what we're doing, and, takes the lead, and, we all have turns at being the boss. And I just thought, how lucky was I, and what a gift that I received. And so then I thought, well, if I'm going to gain the knowledge anyway, I would love nothing more than to give that gift to other groups of women who, are particularly remote. They don't have to be. I've got women that are joining our online class now who live in towns and cities. But, just for me, I think, at least actually having a PT on the other side of that screen who had written your program, was watching your technique, wasn't working along with us, really correcting our form and pushing us, hey, that looks a bit light. And, for me, she was my sister, so no, that's fine. Just that was something that I haven't even since been able to really find more of. I find a lot of group sort of recorded sessions and things like that, and I'm not saying it's not out there at all, but I'm just saying it was a little bit harder to come across. And so I just figured, what if... And I've been showcased by, the best for a really long time in Lise. So, wanting to keep giving that gift. I think.
And living 100k out of town, just to be able to do that, you can't just get in the car and go to the gym, So for someone to be able to jump on, like even the people that are in cities or towns that are getting onto your classes might have children at home still asleep, or are getting ready for school for the day or something like that, and they can slip into the garage or wherever and do a workout and still feel like they're doing something for them. So I love how you've tied that name into your, like, the connectedness into the title of your business as well. I think that's very clever. I think that the gift that you got from Lisa, but then to be able to keep giving that is incredible thing.
And that connected sort of comes from, like I said, when we get on, we're having a shit day or whatever. Those other women on the end of the screen, they're kind of there for you, like, hey, what's going on? Or if you just want to rant, like, I'm just going to whinge. I've got a problem and I've got no solutions. I'm just going to whinge. Or it's just, as I said, I've found other reasons than the physical benefits to exercise through this. And I guess that's really my passion in it.
Yeah. And I happen to know, like, you've got a chat, you know, like a messenger chat called Fit Friends, and, you know, like, it's just, I get to see that connection that you have with those women, and they also kind of don't let you off the hook either too much if you kind of haven't shown up, and
they'll be calling me out on this.
So I think that's really incredible too. I mentioned at the start of the episode, and I'm sure I've told you before, but just in case you didn't know, and for the listeners, you were the first person to introduce me to personal development, and I think that it's definitely helped shape the woman I am. And I think it's helped shape the woman that you are, the mother that you are, the wife that you are now. So we talked about ripple effects with Lisa opening fitness for you. When it comes to personal development, you opened the door for me. Who can you kind of, like, did you jump into the world of personal development for your, like, off your own back, or did you have someone that you were looking to that kind of inspired you to be able to go to sort of say, I kind of want to be the best version of myself?
I was sort of at a point where I was looking. I think I'd felt like it wouldn't have mattered where I was going to be unhappy on the moon at that point. I think I had real little kids, and I was just a bit miserable, to put it bluntly, for no particular reason.
Yeah.
So I'd sort of been looking, and then we happened to live next door to some really amazing people. And I'd watched their journey, and they had gone away and done this other particular, I think I'd gone down to Melbourne and done something completely different, but had come back, and our really great friends, her husband had gone away and done it, and then very quickly she and another friend gone and done it, and just watching the change in those people. I shouldn't say the change, but I guess when you surround yourself with people who are just comfortable in themselves and accept you for who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, it just sort of inspires you.
A bit of an understanding type thing, isn't it? Like a bit of a, you feel a little bit more comfortable to be yourself, because there's that understanding that not everyone is the same, or not everyone fits into the box. Or,
So, and just through that, just met more and more people, and I think every day, every conversation that I'm lucky to have with many, many wonderful women, there's sort of little nuggets to pick up everywhere from everyone I'm lucky to have relationships with and speak to.
Yeah. What do you think it's changed the most in your life? I mean, obviously it's a ripple effect, and you kind of have one little change, and then lots of things around you change. But, you know, what do you think if you kind of looked at the person that you might be without the growth work that you've done, or, who you are now?
Good question. Because I guess under it all, it's always and this is just my take and how I feel a little bit. I think what growth work does for me is actually break down all the pieces that aren't serving me, and all the things I do to hide, so to speak.
Yeah.
So awareness is, huge. Doesn't mean I'm always good at actioning it. But I think also just being okay with that as well. And then it's probably, the biggest flow-on effect I think that it's had is probably in my marriage and in, the children and how we're raising our kids. And, you said the relationships that, because I do stuff up. I'm not a perfect mother by any means, but I think what that has given me is the ability to go back and say to my kids, oh, shit, sorry, that was about me and not you. And sometimes it is about them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more about me too. And so I think the awareness, and I don't get it right every time, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think it's about that understanding, and that then you have a little bit, me personally, then I have a little bit more patience with either myself or even, what other people around me might be going through, or just that, for instance. So I think that awareness, to your words, awareness, my words probably understanding. So similar in the sense, I guess. Yeah. You talked about with the kids growing up and sort of just taking each moment as it comes. I've heard you say kind of riding the waves. And I know from personal experience that, the waves can get quite choppy sometimes. What do you think kind of has helped you ride them out, to be able to kind of go, I hear people say, this too shall pass, or, whatever you might say to yourself, or you just got to ride this wave, or whatever analogy, if you use an analogy.
I don't even think I do, Stacey. I think I just get in the thick of it, and it's not sometimes till I come out the other side and I go, holy moly. You sort of know, and yourself, and I'm sure everyone can relate that sometimes when you're going through it, you don't even know. Like, you're sort of just in the thick of it. And it's kind of when you come out the other side, you go, holy moly.
Yeah.
And probably, with the kids when they were younger and crazy and hectic, and I'm probably more aware of it now because only the two little ones left, and we're nearly at that end where you can go and have a meal and not cause a scene or something like that. But yeah, that's probably like, I don't think I've got some magic solution that helps me ride the waves. I think it's just, I guess, a deep knowing in my own heart that, or at least hoping, until you really ever know, but hoping that, and just finding that acceptance in your own heart that it'll be okay. And
yeah, I feel like you do have a positive outlook on a lot of things. Like, okay, it's not the way that I kind of thought it was going to go, but but it might mean this, or let's spin it to be this, or whatever. Where do you think that came from in you? Like, do you think that you've got a bit of a positive attitude, or do you try to have a positive attitude? Obviously, some people it comes more naturally too, and other people are kind of maybe a little bit stuck in the negative. But I noticed with you, there is kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, should be right, or let's pivot to make this work. But you've kind of got a positive outlook. That's
ask my husband. I think he'll give you the most honest answer.
So I feel like I know you, but
yeah, like I certainly try, because what's the point? You can't change what you can't change, and you don't know what you don't know. But yeah, I'm not all. I've got seasons of heaviness and nothing's working out and this is crap. But somehow or another, like you said, I just ride the waves, and when you come out the other side, it's a much nicer feeling.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think I'm like consistently putting positive spins on everything.
Yeah.
But like you said, you can't change it. And it probably comes from my husband. He hates whinging. Jace just can't stand it. If you don't have a solution, or if you're not willing to be part of the solution, don't whinge. But I love a good whinge, so.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between a good whinge and you'll always have a bit of a laugh about it. Like, yes, there's hard times and all that sort of stuff, and I'm not saying that you're 100% positive all the time or anything like that, and I would never want to put that pressure on you to feel like you have to be, but there's just like this kind of lightness about you. Like, sometimes a problem that to me might seem like a really big problem, to you it kind of feels like it's lighter, and it might just be the way that you're able to voice that back to me. If I'm come to you with a problem of mine, I just feel a lot lighter leaving a conversation with you than I would heavier with certain other people.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys or not, but hopefully it has portrayed across. If you could give your younger self some advice, or tell your younger self something, maybe not so much advice, what would you tell her?
Take the opportunity, or not take the opportunity, because sometimes you take the opportunity, but like give it your all. Like, I feel like sort of fluffed around a little bit, and then suddenly you're growing up and you're like, we done it, but could have probably, and not to put pressure and say hook in 100% to everything you do, but I say to my kids now, like, if this is your time to do that, do it now and do it well, and then move on. Don't have to go back and do things again. Oh, I mean, that's the beauty of life. You can, absolutely. but don't waste it, so to speak, you know?
Yeah.
Which, it's okay if you do, but I feel like if I could give my younger self that would be it. There was probably a lot of...
Like, just do it right the first time.
Yeah.
God.
You know, simple little things. I even think about grade 12 and things like that. I'm like, yeah, I just got by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when you look back now as an adult, I'm like, damn, I wish I had.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I've never heard you say that. So, you know, but I think that, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's never too late and whatever. But just for me personally, that's probably what I would have done differently or given that advice to myself.
Do you reckon you would have listened?
I'm a bit stubborn.
It's like when your mum tells you something, though, isn't it? And now as adults, we can look back and we can go, oh, why didn't I listen to that? Or I'll say something to one of my kids, and I wonder if they'll look back and go, oh, I should have listened to mum when she said that, you know? Yeah. But like you said in one part there, you don't know what you don't know, and but I do like that little piece of advice. I like to kind of wrap up the episode with asking you who's a woman that inspires you or deserves to be celebrated, deserves to be seen, is doing incredible things, or maybe is just kind of getting by, but she's doing a great job at it. She's surviving, or yeah.
Oh, that is just such a really tricky one. I could just give you a big list.
But that's a luck. That's not a bad problem to have.
No, yeah, right. How lucky am I?
Yeah,
in my life.
Yeah, I know it's impossible just to choose one, and even you know, when I'm thinking about women to celebrate on this podcast, I have a book full of women that I've crossed paths with, and some women I may have only just met for a brief second, but they made an impact on, like, I can still recall the conversation that we had, because we are really quite blessed to be surrounded by some pretty incredible women, and not because they're out there flying to the moon or doing anything spectacular. Some of them are doing incredibly amazing things, but because women are just like, there are just some very inspirational women out there, and different outlooks on life and different views and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I have a really good friend, and you might have heard her say this yourself, and so I imagine with your podcast, your hardest thing will be actually, your list of women will be huge, but maybe getting the women to say yes.
Yes.
You know, I struggle. I'm even like, man, don't you have plenty of other people to ask? And when I say this, you might recognise exactly who it comes from, but I'll never forget she said to me, who am I not to?
Yeah.
And and that's probably why I'm even sitting here now, and with that in the back of my mind. And, you won't always resonate with everyone, but for the women that you do,
that's
it's worth it. And so I encourage, when people do get asked to come on the show, I found it bloody uncomfortable. You may not either, but
100%.
Who am I not to is what sort of pushes me sometimes.
I love that, and I'm going to use that when someone says that they don't want to come on. Your story deserves to be.
The lady that says this will know exactly where it came from.
But you also deserve to be celebrated, and I think that every woman deserves to be celebrated. And just some of the things that we spoke about today, you know, taking an initiative to start your, KH connected wellness, your personal growth, your motherhood, your kids at boarding school, living on the land, like all of the different things that you just do. And you don't wake up and have a big celebration every single day, but every now and then I think it's pretty cool to just be able to sit down and especially me to be able to say to my younger sister, like, you're pretty cool. Like, take it. Don't look out in the wind with all the tickets, that will blow away.
She doesn't say that to me very
No, but seriously, Coke, I really do just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being the first woman to sit across from me, and you actually are sitting across with me, in person tonight, so that feels really comfortable. Just, taking this full circle moment of you kind of opening the doors for me into growth, and I'm so so proud of the life that you've created, and I'm proud of your children and your husband. You know, you picked well. And I just love the way that you kind of like, you just show up in your life, and I'm really proud to call you my sister. And I love you. And if you guys want to celebrate Kirsty, to jump on social media to book in a PT session with her at 5:15 in the morning.
PT.
Not PT
Group
yet,
fitness.
sorry. Group fitness. Very soon.
PT loading.
Head to her socials. It's KH Connected Wellness, or message her or myself if you can't find her. Thank you very much, Kirk. I love you lots, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
And that's a wrap on today's conversation with one of the women we know. If something in today's episode resonated with you, I'd love if you shared it with a woman in your life who might love it too. And don't forget to follow along so you never miss a conversation. And if there's a woman in your life that you know has a story worth sharing, I would love for you to nominate her at the Women We Know on Instagram or Facebook. Or shoot me an email at the.women.we.know.podcast at gmail.com. There's a dot in between each of the words, the.women.we.know.podcast at gmail.com. Thank you for listening and being part of this community that celebrates her story, her resilience, her honesty, her triumph, her challenges, her life. We celebrate her.